Bill C-21 turned from banning handguns to hunting guns. This is the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the system. Never going home. I'm in love.
Time to wade into the whole banning of guns here in Canada. I, for one, am not opposed to banning certain guns, but I am opposed to banning other kinds of guns. And the Liberals have turned this into just a mockery. The idea between Bill C-21 was to ban handguns that fall into the hands of criminals, not those who are in the hands of law-abiding citizens. So they made amendments to the bill. It should have been a straightforward bill, and there should have been stiffer fines for anyone who has illegal handguns, because they're coming in from the States and to a lesser extent from other parts of the world, but mostly from the United States, because it's easier to cross the border with them. And where do these illegal handguns fall? They fall into the gangs. So that's the inner cities. We don't have a lot of gun violence where I am. In fact, in the city of London they do, but not so much here where I am. More in the rural areas. I think the biggest gun violation was in Shedden when the Banditos got shot up. Way back. I think it was, what, 15 years ago? So illegal guns are more of an inner city, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal thing, I believe, than... So the amendment would ban hunting rifles, shotguns, and even antique cannons. Who goes around loading up an antique cannon and shooting it off at somebody? Come on. Antique cannons. Most of the antique cannons you find in front of schools and stuff can't even be loaded. They're already cemented in. And the portholes especially. Antique cannons. Come on. The most you can do with an antique cannon in front of a high school is load it up with fireworks and let it off. You can't even move the damn things. They're not wheeled. If you go to the historical forts and that, they're all locked up. They don't have any real shells in them. Any fool stupid enough to steal a cannon and try and use it would more likely blow himself up, which would get rid of one less idiot in the world. So Bill C-21 was tacked on by Liberal MP Michael Chiang after it had passed second reading, drawing complaints from opposition MPs who accused the government of sneaking changes to expand the scope of prohibited weapons to include hunting rifles. First of all, hunting rifles and shotguns are what farmers use to scare off coyotes and other predators, and also hunters use around here. I could think of, off the top of my head, probably 500 guys who own a hunting rifle and go hunting. As a kid, we used to have an antique shotgun that you couldn't use because the barrel had separated from the stock, so you're more likely to shoot yourself than anything else. And we also had a .303 hunting rifle that my dad used for moose hunting, bear hunting, and deer hunting way up north. I've gone hunting once, long ago, but I know lots of friends of mine who go hunting. My hometown, a lot of guys go hunting. So it bans any rifle or shotgun that could potentially accept a magazine with more than 5 rounds. Hell, a .303 rifle holds, I believe, 12. It's been so long since I've seen it because we gave it to my uncle when my dad died. Powerful military weapons such as a .50 caliber sniper rifles and mortars. Who needs a mortar? That's for collectors. This will also target the collectors, the guys who are legitimate collectors. I know one guy who went and bought himself I don't know, it's the one that Bronson used in Death Wish. He bought that type of handgun, and he's had to go through so many hoops and barrels trying to get it. 16 weeks, and he still hasn't got it. So he's doing it right. He's going through the paperwork. Meanwhile, Public Safety Engineer Marco Mendicino insists that hunters are not being targeted. Right, you're banning hunting rifles, and they're going to plan to eradicate gun violence once and for all. No, they're not. And for once, the NDP, some Bloc Québécois, and the First Nations are with the Conservatives on this one, with the gun bans. The amendment came out of nowhere, said NDP MP Charlie Angus, whose riding covers a vast swath of northern Ontario that includes many remote First Nations. That's where a lot of people go moose, deer, and bear hunting. This was a handgun bill. We suddenly saw this other legislation that had a lot of people who are legitimate gun owners worried. I think they overreached. Yes, you don't ban someone. Up north, deer hunting is a livelihood. Carey Price even posted a picture of posing with his hunting rifle. That Montreal shooting way back. So not a smart move there. Even the police say the Bill C-21 does not address criminal activity. Illegal firearms prohibition, gang crime, illegal guns crossing the border, or criminal use of firearms. Simple. Anybody caught with an illegal gun doing a crime, you're going to jail for a long time. And we'll confiscate everything you own. That'll stop it. If you're a permanent resident in Canada, you and your family are deported back. Stuff like that. Make it hard. So this ban also targets expensive elephant and buffalo rifles that would likely grace collectors' display cabinets to be used for hunting. So antiques. You don't see a lot of criminals running around with an antique shotgun. This isn't lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels, where those 4 guys got their hands on 2 expensive antique hunting rifles, hunting shotguns. Never loaded them up, really. You don't see criminals using those. Criminals are going to use something small, compact, and easy to hide. Something that can stick in their waistband. And antiques are very expensive. No one's going to want to get rid of them. There's no mention of compensation in Bill C-21. Challenged by historical and reenactment groups to say their antique cannons and artillery pieces pose no threat to public safety. No. Criminals aren't going to go around stealing cannons from Fort George or Fort Erie or Fort York and then go using them out in the streets of Toronto. That's not how it works. A, those idiots would probably blow themselves up because they wouldn't know anything about them, how to use them. They'd probably put too much powder in the barrel, double shot it on top of that, blow the barrel up and kill themselves. A few less idiots in the world. And again, loading a musket is a lot harder than it looks. Most criminals aren't that smart to know the intricacies of loading a firearm for the War of 1812. Again, criminals don't use long arms very often. They're harder to hide. Can't walk down the street or get out of a car with a bunch of loaded rifles and expect no one to notice. So not only Carey Price and the NDP, but also the Assembly of First Nations is against gun control because, you know, a lot of First Nations people, especially in the northern regions and out west, they do hunt. The other side effect of a hunting ban on hunting rifles would be an explosion in the deer population. Already we have an explosion of the coyote population. It's becoming more of a nuisance, and wild turkeys. Who's going to applaud this bill? All the urban areas, especially where there's a lot of gun violence. They're the ones who will applaud this platform, this gun control, because they don't know. People in the cities don't go out in the countryside and see what people are doing. So liberals will probably work around with the language to make, they'll still ban the firearm, but make it seem like they're not. And it's just a idiotic waste of time. You should ban the handguns and the semi-automatic small assault rifles, like the Uzis, those kind of things, and target the criminals that they use them. Put more resources into tackling the criminal gangs. Go after them. Go in the inner cities and go after them hard. Anyone caught with an illegal weapon, hit them hard as hell. Take not only their gun away, but also their property. A huge hefty fine on top of a huge hefty prison sentence. Make it more expensive than it's worth. But hey, I'm just somebody who doesn't own a gun, but actually supports hunting rifles. Anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of the whole gun ban. C-21, is it a good bill? Or is it a bad one? Leave comments in the comment section. Until next time, this has been the Grey White North Report.
I'm in love with the